Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. My name is Daniel Conn. I'm delighted tonight to be joined not only by Keith Jackson, but by Tam McManus and Ryan Stevenson. Guys, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah,
I'm
all
excited.
good.
I'm excited,
Sam?
Dan. We're in the presence of greatness.
Aye, absolutely.
Or mediocrity, or something
And
like
Ryan Stevenson.
We've got the guys on, Keith. Massive game at the weekend. I guess every game's massive now, but Edinburgh Derby, I can't wait for it.
Before we go on, guys, is this as big an Edinburgh Derby as there's been since, the Scottish Cup final? Has to be, innit?
Well, for Hearts, I would arguably say it's bigger. I know that you would say that, obviously, because you know the outcome, that Hearts won the cup final. So, obviously, people will say, no, that's... But I think as a one-off game, the fact that they're 5 games away from winning a league, I would say it'll run it close anyway, if not bigger for me.
It's a fair point,
perspective, Tom.
Yeah, listen, I think from a Hearts perspective, yes, definitely. From a Hibs perspective, it's a massive game as well. I mean, I've actually forgot that Hibs are 3 points behind Motherwell. I'm just concentrating and trying to stop Hearts win the league, to be honest. And I think a lot of the Hibs supporters are just thinking, you know, if we catch Motherwell, great, but just don't want Hearts to win the league. So
just stop them at all costs.
It's an enormous game for both clubs, I think. So it's one of the biggest that I can remember.
I don't know if you saw Hibs fan Andy Murray, Tam, saying that he thinks it'd be quite good for Scottish football if Hearts win the league. Are you on board with that?
No. Honestly, that's too. Josh Taylor's had too many bangs to the head. I can give him a pass. Andy Murray, come on, man. No, I mean, I understand if he said it'd be good for Scottish football, but no for Hibs fans. If he'd added that bit, then I'd say aye, because it would be good for Scottish football if you win Hibs at it, and you're not a Hibs fan. I think they're right, but they're Hibs supporters. How can they think that it's good for Scottish football if Hearts win the league? It's just mind-boggling. So not for me, no.
We will, obviously, as I say, come on to the Edinburgh Derby, but there's a few wee bits of news that we need to touch on first. Keith, you've got a story that's just went up on Record Sport Online about Emmanuel Fernandez. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, mentioned a couple of nights ago, didn't I, that I was hearing word from Holland that Feyenoord are seriously interested in Manny Fernandez to the extent that they've put him onto a list of 6 potential targets from all across Europe they're looking at to bolster their defensive options for next season. I think that John McGlynn let the cat out the bag that they had somebody at Falkirk 10 days ago, a fortnight ago, for that league game that Rangers come back from 2-0 down to win at 6-3. What's really interesting, what's come to light is that Dick Advocaat, former Rangers manager, obviously, has joined on a sort of a consultancy basis, part-time basis, but a very high level. Feyenoord over the last few weeks. He's working very closely with the manager there, Robin van Persie, in terms of drawing up a kind of major rebuild for next season. I think that Dick Advocaat's quite hands-on with it. And so ultimately, you know, Arsenal are credited with showing an interest as well. Some big clubs now starting to circle Manny Fernandez. But ultimately, Dick Advocaat, I mean, how ironic would that be? 1998, he first washed up in Scottish football at Rangers. And now he could play a significant part in this if he's part of the decision-making process and they decide to make a serious offer for Manny Fernandez, because you do think it's going to have to be big for Rangers to even entertain the idea of selling this guy. He's 24. He's only really had half a season because he struggled to force his way into the starting lineup over the first part of the season. I think it's going to have to be a big bid in order for Rangers to see any sense in it, given that I think it's a stick on that Peterborough will have a massive percentage of the sell-on. That's the way they do their business. So I think for it to make sense to Rangers, it's going to have to be really, really big. And it looks at this point as if, you know, Feyenoord are certainly one of the clubs that could be at the table in the next few weeks.
Ryan, I don't know about you, but I think he's going to make Rangers a fortune. I really do. I think he's got everything.
No, I think he's a good player. I also think, being young, he's got mistakes in him. I've seen him a couple of times, and he's had a few mistakes in him. But ultimately, he's a very good young prospect. But I mean, money nowadays is crazy, obviously. So how much is a big offer? And where do they pluck the numbers from? Because, as I said, obviously people pluck numbers out of the sky, and you see players moving for crazy money, which maybe 5-10 years ago you would think he's nowhere near that value.
I think it need to be north of 10 for a kick-off, Ryan, and that's probably conservative. That's if you've, I think Rangers paid in the region of 3 and a bit, 3.5 maybe, to get him last summer.
I think 10 million for as good as he is. I think 10 million is insanity. Like,
way too much.
I know it's. Well, listen. Do you know what? I know it's the market and it's a value just now, the way things are. I just think 10 million pounds for a player that's 24, played half a season, it boggles my head. But I do also understand that is today's market.
Well, I actually think, Ryan, when you look at it, that Rangers, I'm saying 10 might get you an invite to the table. But I think Rangers, having sold Calvin Bassey, done something similar now. Obviously, Calvin Bassey was I think his progression was a little bit further by the time that he went to Ajax. But the numbers involved in that were crazy, weren't it? That was 25. I think Rangers might be looking at Manny Fernandes right now as a player that might achieve something similar in the transfer market.
Yeah, so, I get it. I do get it. I understand it. I just think 10 million is a lot of money. Like, but as I said, the market nowadays, and we see players moving for massive amounts of money, in fees and in wages. So, yeah, I think if they come in with that money, I'd be pretty sure that the player would want to leave as well. As it'd be a big move for him.
Mm-hmm.
Are you having him, Tam? Do you rate him as a player?
Yeah, I do rate him as a player, but 10 million, I think you're biting your hand off. I mean, you're comparing him a wee bit to Calvin Bassey there, but remember, Calvin Bassey was in part of a team that got to a European final.
Oh, of course, Tam.
Part of a team, that won a league, won a championship, and really, really impressed in Europe. You know,
Aye.
Fernandes. I don't even know if he was in the team when Rangers were playing in Europe. So, and they were obviously the Champions League. They get battered in the qualifier, and then they finish near the bottom of the Europa League. So,
yeah,
£10 million. I agree with Ryan. I think that's a lot of money for him.
This is the interesting bit, though, guys. I'm saying because they've paid 3 and a bit for him in the first place, because Peterborough will have a significant sell-on fee attached to that deal. I don't think that Rangers they'd see much financial sense in inviting anybody in for a chat about it if it wasn't a minimum of 10. And then I also think that they'll be looking at him a year down the line and thinking that they could then start to look at a bigger figure.
How much would Peterborough's sell-on fee be, do you think?
I don't know the details of it, Steve. I've not seen the contract, but I do know that Barry Fry down there is a hard man. He drives a hard bargain, and in order for them to do that deal in the first place, they'll have themselves well protected. That's
so you would think
well, what they do is it's usually a percentage of the profit,
right?
Isn't it? So, say Rangers, let's say for argument's sake, Rangers get £10 million from him, then Peterborough will have a clause in that contract that means that they get a percentage of the profit. So that'd be a percentage of the 6.5. Yeah. Now, whether that's a 10%, 15%, who knows? But in order for Rangers to entertain offers this summer, I think it's going to have to be a sum of around that to get them interested.
Aye. The other thing that I wanted to get everyone's take on was Callum McGregor. He's been speaking today. He said he's been speaking to the broadcast media and the newspapers, and the dailies quotes are embargoed till tomorrow, Keith. But to the broadcast,
till 10:30 tonight, actually online.
You're right, actually. Keep me right. But to the broadcast, he said, "I want to be here. I just want to make sure that the club continue to push and want to be successful. I see enough signs that the team want to win. They can do enough to win." What do you make of that, Keith?
Well, he's saying what you would expect Callum McGregor to say, isn't he? I genuinely believe him as well. I don't think that he's saying anything there that you would find hard to believe. Does Callum McGregor want to stay at Celtic? I'm absolutely entirely sure that Callum McGregor wants to stay to commit his future to Celtic. What is really interesting, and I can't, there's no spoiler alerts here. I can't give too much away. What I can tell you is the way these things work. So Callum McGregor's turned up today. He'll do the broadcasts, the Sky TVs, the radio and all this, all in one sitting. And the quotes that we've seen coming out from that is, but you can see there's a little bit, a caveat in there, as long as the club wants to push. He then comes out of that room and goes and sits with the daily guys, the guys from the newspapers. Let's just say the two sets of quotes that have come out from broadcast and the dailies read in a very different manner. And all I can say is that if you're a Celtic fan and you're interested, you'll be all over us at 10:30 tonight, because without giving anything away, I think he's speaking the language, the kind of language that supporters who have become pretty frustrated over the last wee while, I think the kind of language that they'll get on board with. I think it's actually, I wouldn't go as far as to say militant. He's not a militant guy, Callum McGregor, but he deeply cares for that football club. And it's really interesting stuff, and I'm sure from 10:30 tonight people will be crawling all over it.
There's a wee bit of me, Tam, that thinks the stick that Callum McGregor's been taking, we've talked about it a wee bit in this show, I could fully understand if at the end of the season he went, do you know what, 32, I want to try something different, Saudi's been mentioned. I could fully understand it if he was like, look, I'm going to go.
Yeah, I particularly somebody like him who's had a magnificent career at Celtic. I think when things are going well at Celtic, nobody gets any stick. And obviously this season it's been horrendous for Celtic this season. I mean, to think that they're still in with a chance to win the league is incredible, the amount of games they've lost. But Callum McGregor's, for me, certainly not the problem. But I think the Celtic supporters are starting to go on his back now. In my opinion, I don't know what the guys think. I don't think he looks fit at the minute. I think he looks as if he's carrying an injury. And I think the fact that he plays 50, 60 games every season for the last 10, 15 years is maybe catching up on him. So, yeah, listen, I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to try something else. He's done everything at Celtic. But when things are not going well at Celtic or Rangers, the first person to get it's the captain. You've seen it with James Tavernier at Rangers over the years. Scott Brown got it a wee bit as well when Celtic lost to 10 in a row. And it's Callum McGregor's turn now. So I think that the main person that the fans go for is the captain when things are not going right on the park.
He's game 52 of the season, Ryan. 52. And obviously we've got 5 league games and a Scottish Cup final to come. Tam makes a fair point. That is a crazy amount of games to be playing year in, year out.
Yeah, and I think we have to be honest. I think everybody knows, as Tam said there as well, I think 100% is carrying an injury. So then on the fact that he's actually putting his body on the line as well was, I know personally doing it, Tam will probably know, you do play through injuries. There's very rarely do you feel 100% bang at it. But you'll be putting his body through pain that will affect him in later life. Now, fans will just look at it and say, so what, that's your job sort of thing. I get that to an extent as well. But we also have to remember what he's done for the club. He lives and breathes the club. He wants the club to do well. And let's not be kidded, see the players that he's playing with just now. I don't know how they're in the situation where they're still in a chance of winning a double. I cannot get my head around that, but they are. But the players that he's playing with are not doing him any favours at all. Usually you'll sit in a dressing room, and if a player's playing with an injury, as players round about that guy with the injury, you might have to do more. You might have to help him out in certain circumstances, if it's running a bit more, or doing whatever it has to be done to help the guy next to you who's maybe carrying an injury. I think he's been hung out to dry, and I do obviously think as well the fans at times, they latch on to whether it's a captain or a homegrown player or just somebody, usually somebody that actually cares about the club that gets it. And I look at a lot of the other players that are playing there, and some of the other players since Christmas time just look as if they don't want to be there, and very little's really been said about them. So again, I feel for Callum in a sense, but he'll be big enough and ugly enough to understand that that's part and parcel of being Celtic captain. That's what happens. That's, you're at a massive club. I think Celtic regardless of what happens this season, I've got such a big job there to try and rebuild. It is astronomical, the fact that who's going to be manager next year, who's looking at players just now, who's looking at recruitment for players coming in, players going out, what is actually happening. There's obviously the situation between the fans and the board. I mean, I think there's a lot that's a mess there just now, and I think next year they'll struggle. I'm saying struggle. I can't see Celtic being in a better position than they are just now, and they're in a terrible position just now, because I don't know who they're going to bring in. I don't know who's making these signings, who's going to be manager. Does the manager then have time to make a list of players that he wants to get in? The summer goes very quickly now. There's a World Cup, so there might be players away at World Cup. How do you get them in if they're actually representing their countries in the World Cup? I just think it's an absolute minefield for Celtic. But I still wouldn't put it past them. Would you put it past them how crazy a season it's been if they ended up going and winning the league and winning a cup?
That thought's been eating away at you since the weekend, hasn't it? Because you've got, let's be honest, you went early. You've said that this is Hearts to lose, and by the way, Ryan, let's get it right. They've been terrific, but I just happen to know that inside your head, when Celtic started volleying balls into the back of the net all over the place in the extra time period at the weekend, there's a little thing in your back of your head going, what we're getting here.
There's a 15% thing in the back of my head saying, is this fake that they're actually going to end up winning a double here? For being as bad as what they are, and do you know what? That'd be catastrophic for Scottish football, because they've been so bad. And if they go and win the double, what does it show for our game? So hopefully that doesn't happen for me.
The thing is, we're talking about Callum McGregor there, Keith. I would imagine that whoever the Celtic manager is next season, he would be essential to
First thing you do, unless it's Liam Rossignol or something like that comes in the door, in which case you might just say, yeah, you can jog on. If the first thing a credible manager would do walking into that place right now, if you're taking on the job, is sit him down, chain him to a chair, and just say, right, I need to know everything. Tell me what I need to know. Get all the information, squeeze him like a sponge to get it all, and then say to him, once you've got all that and you've got his assessment of where the club's at and what's required, then you say to him, well, the first thing is you need to sign that contract. And that's what any really strong, credible contender for that position has to do. And I don't see any other scenario than that. A new guy coming into that job, allowing him or sanctioning Callum McGregor to be allowed to walk out the door would be an act tantamount to professional suicide. I don't know if the guys agree with that, but that's certainly my view.
I think you make a very good point, to be honest.
I think the board should just offer him a contract. I mean, Jamesy's obviously just signed a deal, so and an extension. I don't understand why people in the board or whoever's making the decisions just now isn't sitting down with him and just saying, look, regardless of who the manager is next year, regardless of what's happening, this is our plan, because the board will know. They must have an idea. We're going to bring in new players, but we still want you here, regardless of anything that's happening. We want you here as a board.
I strongly suspect, Steve, that this is part of it, though. That I'm sure that Celtic want to stay. I'm sure that even this Celtic board, as incompetent as it's been over the last wee while, as many mistakes as it's made, I'm sure that they understand the importance of keeping Callum McGregor. I think there might be an element here of Callum McGregor waiting to see what they're doing. How what are they going to do? You talk about the lack of help he's getting inside the dressing room. There's a lack of help all round that football club right now for Callum McGregor. And he's the guy that needs to go out there, pushed out there, front and centre. I think there might be a big element of this, is that Callum McGregor's saying, right, well, let's see what you've got. Let's see what your plans are. Because I think as a Celtic supporter, which he is, he'll be demanding that of other. He demands high standards from himself, demands it from his teammates. I think he'll probably demand it of the people that are making the calling the shots as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned there, Ryan, about James Forrest is obviously signing a new deal. I don't even know what more we can say about James Forrest. He's already having a big say. I would put forward in the end of this season for Celtic. Come on at the weekend, I would say turned the game in Celtic's favour in extra time. I mean, what more can we say, Keith? Celtic's most decorated player.
I don't know, but I saw a bit of this artwork somebody put up on social media earlier, and it was James Forrest signs contract until 2046. New 1 year deal given. He's got a big white beard now. Which, do you know what? I can't speak highly enough of him. And I said it, and you know how long I've said it? Been saying consistently for months and months, he's still the best winger at the club. I keep getting told that he's not got 90 minutes in him. I'd like to see him try. I look at the pace that he showed to get down the outside at the weekend for that crucial goal for Iniacho in extra time. It was the exact same as was it not the exact same move that he made at Ibrox? Get Celtic back into getting that down the side, gets Burns' full back, beautiful sand wedge into the danger area. He just produces. Every time he's on a football pitch, he produces. Why he's been restricted to cameo roles, I'm not sure. Maybe ask the guys, I don't know. What I see with my eyes tells me I'd be astonished if I couldn't get a good hour out of James Forrest.
Is that
in all the 5 games between now and the end of the season?
Is that not a damning indictment on Celtic? But your best winger's still a 34-year-old guy who's been there for years who should be an impact sub. You've spent
huge indictment.
6 million on Balak and 5 million on Tenecte, and he's still ahead of them. It's beyond.
You tell me with your professional eye. I mean, you know a thing or two.
I think he's the best winger at the club, Keith.
By a mile.
He's the best winger there, but
by a mile.
And you spent 10 million in 2 wingers, and you've got another one in loan in Vuka who will never play for Celtic again after that embarrassment of performance at Ibrox. But
that was a bit
I think he signed his twin, but it's crazy that James Forrest, you're still hanging your hat on him at his age to go and win your league, because he got Celtic over the line. Don't know if it was last year or the year before when he came into the team. So
came in late on, exactly that. It was actually, and he ended up going to the Euros with Scotland that summer, because of what he did over the final few weeks of the season.
I mean, one of the people in the comments here, Peter says, "You're telling me Scotland couldn't use Forrest for 20 minutes a game at the World Cup?"
Listen, do you know what? But Steve Clarke blew it because he took him to the World Cup and he didn't use him. And by the way, he should have started him. That's how good James Forrest was at that moment in time. And I was so excited when he got into the squad, and I thought he could be a real difference maker at this tournament. I don't think he'd get a minute on the pitch. So I don't know. Jamesy being Jamesy, if he was offered a golden ticket to the World Cup, I think he'd find it really hard to turn it down. But it could have been the Euros was just a wasted trip. He should have been used more than he was used for me in that tournament.
Aye. Well, look, that's the kind of the newsy stuff that we had to talk about, guys. Now on to the Edinburgh Derby. It's a massive weekend of fixtures. Obviously, that game on Sunday, 4:30 Easter Road jumps out. Tam, when you were last in the show, you talked about the fact that you've agreed to wear a Hearts kit, I think, on the opening day at Tynecastle next season. Is that right, Tam?
Yes, yeah. by that was 5 weeks into the season when Hearts were top.
So you went early with that.
They've been top for the next 28 games. So how
are you feeling about it? Are you confident that someone will stop them, or do you think Hearts will do it? Or?
No, I'm not. I think that personally, I don't think Celtic will win the league. I look at that Celtic team and you're hanging your hat on Martin O'Neill, you're hanging your hat on their course and distance winners, the other two will bottle it. I just don't think Celtic are good enough to win the league, so I'm kind of rule name it. Rangers, probably for me, slight favourites at the minute, but they've got the hardest fixtures, and then it just keeps coming back to Hearts. And this game on Sunday, if Hearts go to Easter Road and win, I think they'll win the league. I think that's one of their big games. I think the confidence they'll get for that, Ryan will tell you, be through the roof. The Hearts fans will start believing, and I think if Hearts go to Easter Road and win, they'll win the league. But I've been nervous all season with Hearts. I thought the bubble would have burst about 3 months ago, but every time Hearts had a couple of bad results, I went, right, that's same, they've gone, and then bang, they would win a couple. So I don't think they're going away. I don't think they're going to bottle it. And Hearts have got every chance if they can go and win on Sunday to win the league.
That's music to your ears, Steve, surely.
I agree. I think listen, it'll be a tough game. It's a derby. There's obviously a lot riding on it. There's been a week or so where they've just had to ponder their thoughts. I know they've been away to the warm weather to train. I just think, and I listened to Lawrence Shanklin's interview earlier on just about the last game at Easter Road, which me and you were there, Keith, and for 75 minutes they were terrible.
Oh, they were played off the pitch. I mean, they were battered by Hibs.
Well, Hibs could have been 4-0 up, and if they were 4-0 up, they would have deserved to have been 4-0 up, and I still think that will be fresh in Hearts' mind.
Aye.
Alongside everything else that's going on, I think they'll understand the responsibility of going there, putting in a performance, getting 3 points. They'll owe it to the fans as well, because of the last performance at Easter Road. And you know what? I'm trying not to tempt fate here. I just think there'll be too much for Hibs. I think they'll be at them. I've just got a feeling these last 5 games, I just cannot see Hearts flinging that away. I genuinely can't.
Have Hibs got the strength, the resolve for this one, Tam? Because Ryan has pointed out previously, when the Edinburgh Derby has come around and when it's been really, really meaningful for one side or the other, Hibs have a habit of Hibs in it. I hate to use that expression, but Hearts have, in the biggest moments of the biggest derbies, Hearts tend to find a way. Do you worry about Hibs in terms of the resolve, their appetite for this match, Tam?
No, I don't, because I look at, obviously Hibs have got a chance to catch Motherwell in 4th place. The supporters will be so fired up for this game. The atmosphere is going to be incredible. I mean, it's always incredible. It's always incredible, but there's so much on this game. I think if you look at the league table, you'd think, well, Hearts are miles better than Hibs. Over the course of the 3 games, we've all watched them. The 2 late goals at Tynecastle, nothing in the games. Nothing. Hibs probably slightly better team without creating too much. The game at Easter Road, I thought Hibs for 70 minutes battered Hearts, and it could have been 4 or 5. Then they were hanging on at the end, and a great save actually saved them for dropping 2 points. But I don't think there's anything between the teams. I don't think there's anything between them on the day, and might be a mistake, bit of magic. I can't see any team winning 2 or 3-0. Put it that way. I think it will be very, very, very tight, and I've got no doubt that Hibs will be up for it, because the fans will demand it up for it. So it's going to be a very, very close game, I think.
You made an interesting point, Tam, a couple of weeks ago, was it, when you said that in terms of the transfer market, in terms of the recruitment, in terms of the players that have been brought into the 2 clubs, you think Hibs have been better than Jamestown?
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt for me, Braga's been probably signing the season. He's been outstanding for Hearts. But I'm looking about at the rest of the players, and I'm thinking, who else has been a brilliant signing from the start of the season? I look at Hibs. I think Mulligan's been a fantastic signing. I think Chaiwa. I think they're going to get big money for him. I watched him against Legia Warsaw in the away leg over in Poland, and for an hour he was absolutely unreal. And I'm thinking, wow, what a player he is. He's picked up a couple of injuries here and there, but he is it's no surprise to me he's getting linked with Celtic. Because I actually watched that game as well at Parkhead when Hibs won 2-1, and he bossed Callum McGregor. He absolutely ran the midfield. So Celtic, he must have caught Celtic's eye that day. So I look at him, I look at Mulligan, I look at even the boy Elding, who they've signed for 400 grand, who looks the part as well. So I think that Hibs have got, in terms of more sellable assets, probably had the better window. Ryan might argue that, is fine, but my argument's kind of mute at the minute, because Hearts are miles ahead of the Hibs and might win the league. You know what I mean? So I can't back it up with any substantial evidence. But that's just what I see for both the teams. I think the crucial thing is, I think Hearts have got a better manager than Hibs.
Yeah,
I think Derek McManus is a better manager, and he's got the best out of the players that are already there. And I think that's been a bigger difference for me in terms of the signings that Hearts have made. Yeah, they've been good, but I think Derek has got the best out of guys like Cammy Devlin, Lawrence Shanklin, Harry Milne. So I think that's what Derek's and Hearts have edged it over Hibs.
Do you agree with that, Steve, or do you think that the much heralded
Jamestown
has been beaten by the mob on the other end of the city?
No, I don't. I think obviously the players that have came in, that they've signed, that they've identified, have done really well. But again, I said this to you in one of my columns. I like Jamestown. I was sceptical about it at the start, but you can have all the players you want. If you've not got a good manager, it won't work. And Derek is the reason why they're all playing well. They're all progressing. They're all getting better. As day to day, his coaching, obviously the coaching staff, Paul Sheeran, Alan Archibald in there, two very good coaches, managers in their own rights as well, which will help the players. But I think the biggest thing out of all this is Hearts play as a team. And that isn't just like the main 11 that start. That is literally every single player that comes in just hits the ground. Very rarely. I mean, I've watched Stephen Kingsley go out, come back in, been really, really good. I've tried when Leonard came in, he just hit the ground straight away. I think the biggest thing and the biggest question for these last 5 games is, I don't think Cammy Devlin and Mark Leonard are good together. I think they're very good players individually. I don't think they suit each other centre mid together. I wonder if he'll bring them back in. I like Cammy and Berry Beningiria.
Like Ryan's been on the helium again.
Am I all plays my bike?
Sorry, Ryan, there's a wee bit of interference on your line. We lost you there for a wee minute.
Try and get a better line there, eh? Try and re-establish that line.
Aye, we'll try and get him on in a wee minute. That was quite
funny.
Someone was saying, "Is there a pig in that car?"
He's got Andy Newport's pig in the car, and that was have you seen the Burniston sketch with the two cops suck into that? What do you mean suck into that? It's the new ones. You've got to suck. You don't blow. And then you get a bag of helium. Oh man,
there's a couple of people, Tam, in the comments asking about Chaiwa. How much do you think Hibs could get from
him? They paid, I think, 500 grand for him from Young Boys, which was a great pickup, by the way, because he played in the Champions League for Young Boys. So £3-4 million, easy. I think the same for Mulligan. I think the same with Mulligan. So all of a sudden, you know, Hibs finances has been terrible over the last 4 or 5 years, but now they've got some sellable assets, which is credit to the recruitment team. Garvin Stewart and Malky Mackay. So I think they'll get big money for Chaiwa, and he's on a long-term contract. I think he signed a 5-year deal. So I don't know, $3 million plus.
Listen, talk to his guys about this derby, and you know, this one is massive by any stretch of the imagination, as big as the Edinburgh Derby can probably get, as we said, apart from the Scottish Cup final. But talk to us about the rivalry, the experiences that you've had of it, the atmosphere. I mean, you'll both have your own favourite memories, but talk to us about the intensity of it all, and you know, was there one game in particular that will always live with you, Tam, as your favourite memory for an Edinburgh Derby?
So my first ever Edinburgh Derby was at Tynecastle, when it was the last game of the season. Under Alec McLeish, and Hearts had to win to get into Europe, and Hibs had nothing to play for, but just up for the Championship. And Alec McLeish told me the night before I'd never started a game for Hibs, and he said, "Tam, you're starting tomorrow." Wow. And I was up staring at the ceiling till about 12 o'clock the next day. He shouldn't have told me. But anyway, I played right wing. I played against Gary Naismith, and I played really well. It was live in the telly, and I get man of the match. I remember before the game, it was John Hughes and Pat McGinley. It was their last game for Hibs, and it was particularly Yogi, who was the captain of the club at the time. He grabbed me before the game. He says, "See if you hide out here. See if you bottle it out here. You're going to see me after the game." He says, "So you better go out and do what you've been doing in training all week, and don't hide, and don't bottle it." And I didn't. I went out and got on the ball, and that was Yogi's last game for Hibs and my first one. But that was
I've got a funny feeling I was in the press box for that game, Tam. And I do remember. I do remember it, and I thought you were sensational that day, if you don't mind my saying.
I played right wing against Gary Naismith, and Gary Naismith, I think, went to Everton in the summer, and I caused him a few problems. But no, that was a good Hearts team as well under Jim Jeffries. I think Gary Meeks-Regan scored a couple of goals, and but I set up the goal for Hibs. It was just great because I remember my first taste in Edinburgh Derby, and 2 minutes into the game, Darren Jackson walloped me, put me into the gravel at the side of the park. Then another 2 minutes after that, Colin Cameron came here, whacked me again, whacked me as well, and then Lee Mako. I think they all just thought, right, we'll have one each on this young buck, and they all came here and took turns and put me into the crowd. But that was because I was taking too many touches. So you soon learn in an Edinburgh Derby. You take more than 2 or 3 touches, you're getting wiped out. And after that, I kind of sped the play up. But brilliant atmosphere. My worst memory is the 4-each game where I scored my one and only Derby goal. Come off at 4-2 up, giving it, kissing the badge to the Hibs fans away from home. 90 minutes, 4-2 up. I'm thinking, we've surely won the game. And I was planning my night out in Edinburgh. It was just after New Year, and Bobby Williamson had never won a derby, and he says, "Listen, boys, you win this tonight, you've got 4 days off." So I can remember me and Gary O'Connor, Derek Ireland, Grant Brebner all planning my night out, and Graham Weir came on and absolutely made a name for himself. You know, scored in the 93rd minute, 95th minute, and we drew 4 each. And I don't know, that was maybe 23 years ago, and I still think about that all the time. I think about how we managed not to win that game. So, yeah, there's been some highs and lows, certainly. And then I remember beating Hearts with 10 men when Gary O'Connor scored in the last minute. Easter Road with 10 men for an hour, and we won 1-0. So it's a brilliant game to be involved in. The atmosphere's always brilliant.
In the comments, Jambo Stew says, "I've got dents in my shin from the 4-4 game." And Pete writes in saying, "What a hero Tam is, great pundit. The Hotline Live's best signing of the season."
I didn't know my dad had that many burner accounts.
We've got some on the actual football as well. Green Machine says, "The occasion and what it means to Hearts will make the game high octane with a couple of red cards and VAR getting rebooted. It will be red hot." Gordon's
I hope no.
I know.
Gordon, I think it will be, Tom. I think he's right. I think that comment's spot on. I think it'll be absolute fireworks.
Aye.
I think with so much on this, the intensity, the atmosphere inside the stadium's going to be electric. Hearts have got everything to play for. Hibs can't take a backward step. I think there's a potential for red cards, goals, just all round general mayhem.
And Rebel in the comment says, "Tam looks like a condemned man. Hearts are aging him."
He's right.
John,
He's right. He or she is right.
John,
it's been a worry, by the way. It's been a worry for the last 28 weeks.
John wants to know if you're immigrating, Tam, if Hearts do pull this off.
Well, I've got to wear a full heart strip, and that's me ruined. I mean, I don't know how I come back for that. To be honest with you, that is going to get pulled up every single time I ever say anything on social media. There's one that the Dundee United fans like. It's when I get relegated to Dundee and I'm on my hands and knees crying when I'm playing for Dundee, and the Dundee United fans send me that on a weekly basis. I can only imagine me wearing a full heart strip, what's going to happen on social media when I'm out and about in Edinburgh. So I'm praying for anyone bar Hearts.
You sound serious though that you will deliver on your promise.
Oh, I need to. It's on tape. It's been recorded, and I can't get out of it. So I've already spoke to Scott Wilson through Hearts, and he's going to try and get me a discount because I was on the Hearts when Hearts won beat Motherwell. I went on, had a wee look on the Hearts Superstore to look at the prices. It's going to cost me a ton plus and all.
That's the thing, it's not cheap.
Disaster.
That's good. I'm trying to get you a discount. That's really nice. And I was
just get McManus oops on the back.
Before we lost Ryan, I was going to say to him, Peter says, "Get Ryan to wear a Hibs top. If Hearts don't win the league, I'll maybe put that to him when he's signalling."
That's why his line went bad. By the way, he has been in touch. I don't think. I think that's his. The technology's packed in there. So thanks very much, Ryan, for joining us for that. What's your prediction? Yeah, I mean, look, excuse the pun, but heart of heart stuff here. What do you think? What do you expect the scoreline to be at the weekend, Tim?
0-0 wouldn't surprise me.
Really?
Aye.
Complete opposite what I just said there.
0-0 and loads of cards and mentalness. Aye, but I don't know. It's going to be one of them. I don't think it's going to be a good game.
Are you going, Tim? Will you be at the game?
I'm going to the game. I'm going to the game. I'm going to the game. I'm going through with Peter. So I'm getting through to the game. I hope it's 5:40 Hibs. I hope it's a great game for the neutral. But it's one of the games where you don't want to make a mistake. And I played in high pressure games like that where you don't want to be the one that makes a mistake, and it ends up the ball's a hot toddy. You clear it away for your goal. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a great game, but I think it's going to be tight. Maybe 1-0 either way, or a 0-0. But I can't see loads of goals in it.
I've just got this feeling, Tom. And look, it could come down to this. I just think if there's an early goal, it's mayhem. But you're right. See, the longer it goes, 0-0, and it becomes cagey. People start going into their shells, as you said. You don't want to make a mistake. But if somebody gets an early goal in this game, the other side's going to have to go hell for leather, and I think that's what we'll get.
I think in any derby game, if you get an early goal, it usually leads to more. I think because other teams go to chase it a wee bit.
Yeah.
But you're right. When I've played in games with Hearts, Hibs, and you're 0-0 or 1 each with 20 minutes to go, you think, right, don't get beat. Don't get beat. It's all right if we draw. It's fine. Don't get beat now. And that both teams could maybe think that way. I don't think a point's a disaster for Hearts. No. I don't think a point's a disaster for Hearts. I think if they can come out of this and get a point, they're still in it. So it remains to be seen. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's 5-4 Hibs.
What's your prediction, Keith? How do you think it will go?
God,
I know you've seen a lot of goals and all that, but
I do. I'm going to go, and I'm sorry, Tom, but I'm going to go 3-2 Hearts.
Wow.
A reverse of the scoreline in the end of December there. But I'm basing that on the fact that I do expect there to be chances. I do expect it to get quite open because I do expect it to be an early goal in a game. And I think if you're in a game and teams are creating chances, I think when your attack is spearheaded by Braga and Shankland, I keep coming back to it. It's the players, it's the quality, that's what makes the difference. That's what's kept Hearts at the top of the league all the way through it. It's not been by accident. They've got
as well,
quality
Keith,
players.
Their home form. Hearts, I don't think away from home this season, Hearts have not been great.
That's true. I
think that's where Hibs can get at them, and I think Hibs will take confidence from the way they played against them at Christmas, where they won 3-2. I think that flattered Hearts, to be honest with you. So Hearts have been away from home. They've not been great. They've not created a lot. They've not scored a lot of goals. And if Hibs get the early goal, Hearts have got to come out. I expect Martin Boyd to play. I know he's been in and out of the team. I think he'll play. I think where he can get at Hearts is pace. Aye.
Yeah.
I think the boy Elding's quick as well. I think that David Gray will go with they two up front, and I think they'll try and get down the sides of Hearts and use the pace of those two, and see how it goes. But if Hibs get an early goal, I think that opens the game up rather than Hearts getting the early goal.
And Rebel does point out, Keith, that Magnuson and McEntee are obviously out for Hearts. Big players at set pieces.
Listen, there's huge, but as I said, Hearts managed to keep this thing on track. They've stayed at the top of the league despite being without two players that are of more significance to the starting 11 in Shankland and Cammy Devlin. So yeah, look, it's this stage of the season. People are going to get injuries. Hearts have been a little bit unlucky over the last wee while. But I think all things being equal, if you were going into 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it was, without Cammy Devlin and Lon Shankland, I think you can accommodate these losses a little bit more easily than you could have accommodated these two players.
Mm-hmm. I get what you mean.
And Hearts have still managed, despite those injuries, they still managed to keep it ticking along. They're still top. There's only 5 games to go.
Just before we wrap up, guys, you can see on the screen now, there's the full fixtures for the weekend. Keith, do you expect any? I mean, do you think Celtic and Rangers will both win too?
So you're basically saying that another full set of wins, and the last league weekend was only the second time all season that all three sides won in the same round of fixtures.
Yep.
So if you actually just look at the odds probability, I'm not sure that all three sides are going to take all 3 points this weekend. You would imagine that Hearts have a really difficult one because, as Tam says, it is away from home. It is at the home of their rivals. There's everything on that game. I've just backed myself into a corner because I said Hearts will win at 3-2. So now I need to look at the other two and see who drops points. I can't see Rangers dropping points. Were they home to Motherwell? Yeah, good. Motherwell have been brilliant. You know how much I've loved Motherwell this season. But I do think their foot's just come off the gas. A little bit of fatigue. Their tank's getting a little bit empty over the last couple of weeks. Are they capable of going to put on a performance and actually dominating the game, keeping the ball? Yes, they are. But I think Rangers should have enough about them to win that game. Which then brings us down to the other match of the weekend, which is, Dan?
Celtic and Falkirk.
Yeah. At Celtic Park, though, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
For 5:30 on Saturday night.
Do you know what? Yeah. I'm going to back all three of them to win then. I can't see Falkirk. I think have had a real gut punch over the last couple of weeks, haven't they? With going 2-0 up against Rangers, then in the end of a real hiding, then going to Hampden, then having their world fall apart against Dunfermline. I'm not sure they'll recover. I'm sure that John McGlynn will try and get them back up. They'll probably be a lot more like themselves than they were at the weekend because that wasn't a Falkirk side, as John McGlynn said. He didn't recognise it. So I'm sure that they'll put on a better performance, but there's nothing much left for them to play for. That's the realisation. There's everything on this game for Celtic. So maybe we'll be looking at a second successive weekend where the top three all take full points. I'm coming round to that idea.
I think I'm right in saying it's 2 wins in the last 10 now for Motherwell, and you mentioned the problems Falkirk have had in the last couple of weeks. Do you see, Tam, either sides maybe getting anything from Glasgow?
No. I think there's now a real focus on the sprint to the end, and I think the bigger clubs tend to really focus their sights on that. And I think that Rangers and Celtic will both win. I think Motherwell have been excellent this season. Again, I can see them going and dominating the football against Rangers. I think Rangers will be too powerful for them. I think Rangers set pieces, and let's not forget Rangers are free flowing scoring form at the minute. They're scoring a lot of goals, about 15 goals in the last 3 games or something, 16. It's a lot of goals, and that breeds confidence amongst your forwards. You've got Miovski coming off the bench, scoring goals, so there's players in there, Mikey Moore, there's guys in there who can go and create and score goals for Rangers. So I would expect them to win. I expect Celtic to win. I don't think they're going to be blowing teams away at this point, but I just think they'll win. And
so Hearts are the big losers this weekend then, Tom.
Yeah. As I said, I don't think a point's a disaster. I think if Celtic win, they go level with Hearts. If Rangers win, they go a point ahead of Hearts.
Yep.
So if Hearts get a point, then there's one point between the three of them. So I don't think they're out it by any means, and they've got Rangers at home. So I think
you're going 0-0 at Easter Road.
No, I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 to Hibs. I'm going to go 1-0. It wouldn't surprise me 0-0, Keith. But I think Hibs might edge it 1-0. I don't think Hearts will win.
Well, whatever happens, we'll be here to cover it all on Hotline Live this Sunday at the later time of 7 p.m. because the Edinburgh Derby is a 4:30 kickoff. But for tonight, guys, Tam, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on as always.
The ball, lads.
Cheers, Tam.
Should say as well, thanks very much to Ryan Stevenson and the pig that was in his car. That was
Andy Newport's pig.
And Keith, it's always a pleasure.
Cheers, Dan.
And like I say, we'll be back on Sunday at 7 p.m. Hope you can join us then. Thanks for watching. Cheers.